Every agreement has two sides. Promises are only as strong as the people who choose to honor them. In our last episode, we explored how Joseph rose from prisoner to governor in Egypt. Pharaoh entrusted him with extraordinary authority. Joseph's family was welcomed into Egypt and settled in the land of Goshen. At that moment, the future looked so secure. But history has a way of changing. Generation passed, Joseph died, his brothers died, an entire generation faded into memory. Then the book of Exodus opens up with one sentence that changes everything. Exodus 1:8. Now there arose a new king over Egypt, who did not know Joseph. Those few words carry enormous weight. The text does not explain whether Pharaoh literally had no knowledge of Joseph, or whether he chose to disregard Joseph's legacy. Scholars have proposed different interpretations. What the text does make clear is this: the relationship between Egypt and the descendants of Israel had changed. The people who had once been welcomed as honored guests were no longer viewed the same way. The new Pharaoh looked at Israel's growing population and saw something different. Not neighbors, not allies, a threat. Fear has a remarkable way of changing how people see one another. Instead of remembering a nation that had helped preserve Egypt through a famine, he imagined an enemy within his own borders. Then Scripture records something fascinating. Exodus 1:10 says, "Come, let us deal wisely with them." Let's slow down and notice something. Pharaoh doesn't react in a moment of panic. He calls for counsel. Let us. Who is us? His advisors? His court? His military leaders? The text doesn't tell us, but it reveals something important. This wasn't an emotional outburst. It was a calculated decision, a strategy, a plan. Now here's a question worth considering. Why did Pharaoh believe he needed to deal wisely with Israel? If he believed his authority over them was absolute, why not simply issue commands? Why formulate a strategy? Was he responding only to fear? Was he reacting to Israel's growing population? Or was there something about Israel's place in Egypt that required a more calculated approach? The text doesn't answer every one of those questions directly, but it invites us to ask them, because history often leaves clues before it gives the answer. Pharaoh's plans begins to unfold. Taskmasters are appointed. Forced labor begins. The people who have been once welcomed to Goshen became slaves. Let's pause our investigation one more time. Notice something else. The biblical text never says that Israel violated the promises established during Joseph's lifetime. Instead, the narrative shifts to our attention to the actions of the new Pharaoh. What changed? Did political power erase historical memory? Did fear replace gratitude? Or had Egypt forgotten the very man who once preserved the kingdom? We'll continue to explore those questions as the story unfolds. And remember that phrase, let us deal wisely with them. Keep it in the back of your mind, because later in the series, we'll encounter Pharaoh's wise men and magicians. Figures later identified in Jewish tradition and the New Testament as Janes and Jambres. Whether that earlier statement foreshadows their involvement isn't something that the text explicitly says, but it is intriguing connection to consider as we continue our investigation. Because this story may be about far more than politics. It may also be about competing claims to wisdom, authority, and power. Next time, we'll examine why the Most High waited so long before calling Moses, and what the cries of Israel reveal about divine timing. Because sometimes the heavens seem silent until the appointed time.